Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Throwback Thursday.
Welcome back to the Lessons for Success podcast. I'm your host, Adam Wardlaw, a middle school science teacher and a high school football coach in South Carolina. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast heard by over 2,000 students, teachers, and coaches worldwide. The goal is to provide quick daily lessons to help you achieve more in your life. Be sure to reach out to the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok by searching L4S Show or using the hashtag L4S Show. Remember, it's the number 4. If you're listening on an iPhone, be sure to give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts in order to keep our community growing. Now let's start the show. Galileo Galilei, one of the most famous philosophers in history, spent February 13th facing a trial for heresy in 1633. Welcome back, everybody. It's Throwback Thursday here on the Lessons for Success podcast. And in this episode, we're going to look at the life and accomplishments of Galileo. Galileo was born February 15th, 1564, in what is today known as Italy. His father was a musician. He entered the University of Pisa planning to study medicine, but shifted his focus to philosophy and math. In 1589, he became a professor at the university. During this time, he demonstrated that the speed of a falling object is not proportional to its weight, as previous philosopher Aristotle had believed. According to some witnesses, Galileo conducted his research by dropping objects of different weights from the Leaning Tower of Pisa. From 1592 to 1630, Galileo was a math professor at the University of Padua, where he developed a telescope that enabled him to observe lunar mountains and craters, the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, and the phases of Venus. Galileo also discovered that the Milky Way is made up of stars. Following the publication of his research, Galileo gained publicity and would go on to be promoted to different positions. Galileo's research led him to support Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus. However, the Copernican theory of a solar system centered around the sun conflicted with the teachings of the powerful Roman Church, which essentially ruled the country at the time. You see, the Church taught that Earth, not the sun, was at the center of the universe. And on this day, in 1633, Galileo was brought before the Roman judicial system for teaching ideas that went against the Church. So what lessons can we draw from Galileo's story? I think a moral from this story would be to stick to what you believe to be true. Galileo's ideas may have rubbed some groups the wrong way during his time, but he stood by his beliefs. When you're out and about in your daily life, stay grounded in what you believe. In the long run, things are more likely to pay off if you stay true to yourself. That's all the time I have for today's episode. See you guys tomorrow for our final episode of the week. Take care, everyone.
Time for a quick commercial.
That's right, Ellie. This episode is brought to you by Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. And they'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. Places like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. To get started, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today. Well, folks, that's it for another edition of the Lessons for Success podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember that you can keep up with the show wherever podcasts are found, as well as the newly updated Lessons for Success YouTube channel. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok to keep up with more content from the show. If you haven't already done so, give the show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That's all the time I have for today. Be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Lessons for Success show.